these past couple of weeks, or maybe a couple of weeks ago, I should say, I was in this kind of a mental rut where I was questioning what I was doing. Again, I was kind of mentally drained. I was thinking about a lot, had a lot of decisions that needed to be made. Was working with a lot of different groups on a lot of different projects, and I think I was kind of just exhausted, mentally exhausted, especially. Started to question things like, man, am I doing things the way that they should be done? Am I doing the right thing? Like, is this all worth it? Does this all make sense? I guess remember just getting a word in my spirit that said, who you are is okay. So, we go through these times where we're not the most upbeat, we're not the most encouraged, right? We're not the most motivated. We doubt ourselves. We doubt what it is that we're doing. We doubt the individuals around us even. But in those moments, just find that voice, right? Those encouragement that you need. And family and friends are good, and mentors and all of these individuals who are around us to continue to encourage us and build us up. But it's important for us to also find that voice within us, in ourselves, so that we can always lean on that voice whenever we need to. All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the new episode of the Miles High podcast. This is Miles Jr. I'm your host, and as always, the vision and goal for this podcast is to entertain, educate, and elevate you miles high above your fears, your doubts, and any limitations that you may think exist. Always knowing that those limitations only exist in your mind. All right. I have a quick episode for today. I wanted to use this episode as an encouragement. For these past couple of weeks, or maybe a couple of weeks ago, I should say, I was in this kind of a mental rut where I was questioning what I was doing. I don't know if it was that things weren't happening the way I wanted them to happen, or things were taking some time to happen, or whatever the case was. And this isn't anything out of the ordinary for me, right? I go through these periods where I just need some rest, right? Some time away to kind of rethink and refocus and whatnot. And this particular period happened a few weeks ago, and again, I was kind of mentally drained. I was thinking about a lot, had a lot a lot of decisions that needed to be made. Was working with a lot of different groups on a lot of different projects, and I think I was kind of just exhausted, mentally exhausted especially, and I got into this rut, like I said, and I just started to question things like, man, am I doing things the way that they should be done? Am I doing the right thing? Like, is this all worth it? Does this all make sense? And I guess remember just getting a word in my spirit that said, who you are is okay. And it took me back to the story of Gideon, right? And if you don't know the story, this was back in the good book, a time where there was this war going on, and Gideon was the leader of what Gideon called, one of the lesser group, one of the weakest group in the entire army. And God identified Gideon as the person who was going to lead the army to victory in the battle. And Gideon wasn't a confident individual, right? He pretty much questioned God, like, yo, you choosing me? Like, I'm nobody. I'm not the strongest. My army isn't the strongest. We aren't the smartest. We aren't the most tested army or group of soldiers in this army. You can't be talking to me. And he lacked so much confidence in not only himself but in the word that God gave him, that he wanted to, I wouldn't say test God, but he wanted God to show him signs, right? And he said that he would lay I think it was a camel's coat or a lamb's coat out on the grass, and he wanted in the morning, when the dew fell, he wanted the lamb coat to be dry and the lamb coat to be wet and the grass around it to be dry. And then God did it, and then the next day he said, okay, do it again, but switch it, let the lamb coat be wet and the grass be dry. And he did it. And it was just like these, God gives us these words sometimes, and it just seems so much of a big task for us, right? And I think that's a good thing, because I don't think any word that we're given, we shouldn't see it as something that we are able to accomplish ourselves, right? So it's such a big task for us, and we start to doubt ourselves, like, man, am I capable of doing this? Can I do this? Like, am I doing the right thing? Do I have the right wherewithal to like figure all of this out? And I think it's healthy to go through this process of doubting, right? Because, like I said, if we approach a task and feel like, yeah, this task isn't nothing, like we could accomplish this task without any issues, and then at the end of the day, we're going to think like, well, I did this, this was all me, I didn't need any help. And that's not how visionaries live, right? Visionaries understand that the vision is bigger than them. So I just, I'm speaking to persons who are going through that right now in their lives. Like you've hit this spot where you aren't sure of like what it is that you're doing. Are you doing the right thing? Did you make the right decisions? Whatever those decisions were. Like I said, a few weeks ago, I was in a not so good mental space, just asking myself all these questions. I remember, as I got that word in my spirit that who you are is okay, who you are is enough. It reminded me of me going through the same type of period, a couple of years ago, maybe closer to like 8 years ago. And this one stood out because I was working on several projects at the time as well, and I had someone that pretty much spoke into my life, and it was a negative word that they spoke into my life, and I spoke over my life, saying that they heard from the Lord, and the Lord is saying that this and that was going to happen. And I kind of was like, man, this can't be right, because this contradicts what the word that I was given, or the vision that I was given. And I remember like the message came through on a Sunday, and I read the message that morning, and then I went to church later that morning, and it was almost like immediately, like through sitting through the service, God reassured me of the word that he was giving, or he has given me. And I think he knew that I needed to hear that word immediately, and he knew that I needed it to be like undoubtedly me knowing that it came from him. And I think even with saying that, it's important for us to know like how to hear God, or to hear God's voice, and to know how he talks to us, because he doesn't talk to everyone the same, right? So it's important for all of us to understand like how to understand like how God speaks to each of us. And then secondly, I think it's also important for us to be cautious of who we allow to speak over our lives, or to speak into our lives. I think, sometimes the persons, and they are not even sure like if they think they didn't hear right or heard right or whatever the case is, but it's on us to, look for confirmation, like question it, like go to God and pray for yourself and be like, yo, is this the word that I'm being given? And just look for that confirmation, because if you ask for it, God is gonna he's gonna respond, he's gonna answer you, he's gonna reassure you of things that he has said. He's going to reassure you of things that he has shown you, and encourage you, give you that those affirmations that you need, and those words of encouragement that you need to continue going. Because, people and the words that they say can and will affect us if we allow them to, right? If we allow those words to take root in our minds and in our hearts, especially when those aren't words from God or whatever.
Yeah, I was going to mention that, like, a lot of times when you have, we live in a society where everyone wants to speak over your life and pray for you and prophesy for you, and they have a word for you, and you have to be very careful about who you allow, into your space and into your spirit, because their words, you don't know who's speaking to them. And I think many times a lot of people get confused because someone tells them something and it's not of God or from God. So I think, like, you have to be very careful about who you let speak into your life.
And then sometimes people let their personal judgment cloud,
absolutely,
the words that they speak over others as well, right? And that can affect us or you as the person, like, hearing those words. So just be very careful of who you allow to speak into your life and who you listen to. Because these persons can and will affect us internally, affect our journey, affect our beliefs, if we allow them to. So just be careful of who you allow to speak over your life. And so God just took me back to that period where I I went through that phase, right? I had doubts after I heard that word, and He reassured me. And sometimes we just need those reassurances, right? Because when you're doing something for a long period of time, and like that this is something that you're supposed to be doing, you have this vision of how this particular project or task should turn out, but you don't see that coming to fruition. And as time goes and you're continuing to work towards it, like you could get discouraged, right? And it's I think it's important for us to speak into ourselves, right? And when we question ourselves, like, man, am I doing this right? Am I the right person for this job? Like, answer yourself and say, yes, I am. I absolutely am, right? Because I know what I was told. I know what I see. I know the vision that I have. I know that the people that are with me on this vision, on this journey, it isn't a coincidence that they're here. Like, they aren't here by happenstance. Like, this is a divine appointment and a divine connection that we all share in going towards this vision. And everyone may not stay around for the entire time. Like, I think everyone has seasons when they come in and out of the journey towards that goal, that vision that you see. But stay encouraged, and just understand that if you have been given this word, if you've been given this vision, then everything that you need is already inside of you, right? The journey is just discovering those abilities, those skills, and learning things that we need to learn, right? Equipping ourselves with new skills and information so that we can continue achieving and going towards the journey, right? Because although time is short and time isn't promised, time takes time. We can't rush time. I think of my dad in these moments where, he was given a vision, as a teenager, and he's been working or had worked, towards achieving that vision his entire life. And then getting to the point where he passed away, but the vision doesn't stop, right? And even though he was initially given the vision, like, him not being here doesn't mean that it doesn't continue. So there are some parts of our visions, or even the vision in and of itself, like, we won't see them come to fruition, right? It's not a part of our journey, right? Our journey is to get it started. Our journey is to influence and impact those around us who we're going to bring into the fold to start this or to be on this journey with us. And then there may be times where those individuals take over and we step away. And I think that's a part of it too. But you continue to work. Allow time to take time, right? Don't rush it. Enjoy the process. Understand that the entire journey, right? Not just the end product or the end result. The entire journey is important. It's important for us to be in the moment. It's important for us to understand and develop ourselves, both personally, professionally, and spiritually, as we go through this journey, and we just allow time to take its course, right? We do everything that we can. We do everything that's in our power, and just understand that like you are doing a good job, right? And just think of like where you were 12 months ago, right? Where you were 24 months ago, and then look at where you are today and see the progress that you've made, see the growth that you've had, and use that as even a motivation to continue to remind yourself that, man, I am enough, right? Because when we go through these doubting moments, right? These discouraging times where things may not be going the way that we want them to go, or we aren't as confident today as we may have been yesterday, and we probably won't be confident, 7 days from now than we are today. But just allow time to take time, right? Allow that process to kind of go through the journey with you, because as we continue on, as we continue to walk on this journey, and I don't get discouraged of the things that are right in front of us, right? Just know that there's a bigger issue, a bigger goal, a bigger achievement that we're gonna one day accomplish. Just know that it's all going to make sense at some point, and it's not on us. It's not on our watch, right? It's not on when we think it should happen. Our job is to do what it is that we can do, what we can worry about, the things that we can control. That's what we should do, right? Because life's journey is not about anyone else's timeline, right? You are on the best path for you. And I know that's difficult sometimes, because as we look around in society, in our communities, in our neighborhoods, on social media, and we see other individuals, maybe achieving things that we want to achieve, or getting places that we want to get in life, and we're like, man, I'm taking so long. Is this the right thing that I'm doing? And the answer is yes. It's all yes. Don't worry about anyone else's timeline. You're on the best path for you. Like, don't rush it. Don't try to achieve things quicker than you're supposed to achieve them, because the journey that you're going through is preparing you for achieving those goals and getting to that next level. But stay encouraged, man. That's pretty much what I wanted to get across today, because like all of us, we go through these times where we're not the most upbeat, we're not the most encouraged, right? We're not the most motivated, and we doubt ourselves. We doubt what it is that we're doing. We doubt the individuals around us even. But in those moments, just find that voice, right? Those encouragement that you need. And, family and friends are good, and mentors and all of these individuals who are around us to continue to encourage us and build us up. But it's important for us to also, find that voice within us, in ourselves, so that we can always lean on that voice whenever we need to. Because again, we're not always going to be encouraged. We're not always going to be motivated. There are going to be times when you doubt yourself. And just understand that that's absolutely normal. Like, we all go through it. But when you get in those moments, like, try to find that internal voice to reassure and to reaffirm, the things that you've been told, and the vision that you've been given. All right. Want to say something, babe?
No, and also you have to remember that life has seasons, so it just may not be your season to do what you want to do, but it's coming. Mm-hmm. So you just have to sit throughout your season.
Absolutely. Well, this brings us to the portion of the pod where I want to leave with you a milestone. And the milestone today is a quote that I saw from Rob Hill, and this quote really, spoke to me, right? He says, "All we get is time and choices. Be wise with both. Again, all we get is time and choices, and we are to be wise with both. So as you go through this journey in life, like, you have the time to do what it is that you want to do. It's a limited time, but we still have time. And then it's the choices that we make, or how we use that time. And the message here, or the principle here, is to be wise with our decisions, because it's going to affect the time that we take, right? Whether it's going to happen faster, whether it's going to take longer than it should. But we have time and we have choices, and we got to be wise with both of those things. All right, so that brings us to the end of this pod. Again, just wanted to use this time as an encouragement to each of you out there who, maybe going through this phase where you're doubting yourself, or you're unsure of things. I just want to give you this word today that, man, you are okay. You are enough. You are enough for what it is that you are supposed to do in this life. And I just want to continue to encourage you with that. All right. As always, the goal and vision of this pod is to entertain, educate, and elevate you miles high above your fears, your doubts, and any limitations that you may think exist, always knowing that those limitations only exist in your mind. All right. Until next time, you guys stay blessed.